welcome back. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Medical Mania Madness Monday. And by the way, the only reason that I'm looking for the knockout punch is because the MDs threw the first punch. I'm all about live and let live. I grew up in New England, and in New England, you know, good fences make good neighbors. And the fact of the matter is, there's room in the world for everybody. I'm very much a social libertarian, and all about just giving everybody, you know, room to just do whatever you want. As long as you're not stepping on my toes, as long as you're not getting in my face, as long as you're not trying to keep me under your thumb. You're going to take a swipe at me? I'm going to deliver both barrels 24/7 back at you. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. I did 4 years of pre-med at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, graduated in 1987, followed by 4 years of naturopathic medical school at Bastyr University in Seattle, where I graduated in 1991 with a doctoral degree in naturopathic medicine. Became licensed to practice naturopathic medicine in 1992, and from then until now, have had a private health consultation practice, and I've had medical practices in states where I'm licensed to practice medicine. Now, as a licensed naturopathic physician, for instance, in the city of Hartford, Connecticut, or Seattle, Washington, I can deliver babies, perform minor surgery, prescribe drugs, how about that? Order any diagnostic test I want, legally refer to myself as a physician, work in hospitals, and it's all covered by insurance. If I was to do exactly the same thing in Chicago that I did in Seattle or in Hartford, I'd be thrown in jail for a year and fined $5,000 for practicing medicine without a license just by crossing state lines. And that's not right. That's like passing a law in Illinois that says only McDonald's can sell hamburgers here. Everybody else has substandard hamburgers and they're dangerous. It's nonsense. It's archaic, it's outdated, and yet it is the rule of the road. There are less than 4,000 licensed naturopathic physicians in the entire country. We're only licensed and regulated in 16 states. That means there's 36 states in this country where people do not have access to science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition that their insurance will pay for, delivered by a doctor that lives in their town who they can go and see. Doesn't exist. The United States of America. And furthermore, every time we try to get a law passed, every time we move into a new state and say, hey, wake up, legislature, we need to pass a bill regulating the practice of naturopathic medicine in your state, making sure that the only people that can hang out a naturopathic shingle have been vetted and have been educated and have been tested. And, you know, there need to be standards in place here, and there needs to be a scope of practice to protect the public. Because your people need access to alternative, holistic, naturopathic, science-based, clinically verified treatments besides drugs. By the way, we can prescribe drugs also. You know how many times I've had to prescribe a drug in 20 years? 5. Less than that, actually. But no, every time we try to get our profession licensed, every time we try to move our profession forward by one state, the AMA drags out their dog and pony shows and says, oh no, don't go to the naturopaths. They have substandard training, they're dangerous, they're unproven, unscientific, and their therapeutics will kill you, all of which are lies. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. The only people practicing quack medicine in the United States have MD after their name. Don't believe me? Do a Google search for class action lawsuits, prescription drugs. See how many come up. I'll tell you how many come up, 61. There are 61 medicines right now that the FDA approved that were considered safe and effective. 61 drugs that then killed and hurt people. And the drug companies that made them are still in business. Nobody went to jail. The doctors that prescribed them are still in business. Nobody went to jail. But if a naturopath or a chiropractor or a homeopath or an herbalist gave one patient one vitamin and they died, we'd be pilloried in the town square. By the way, you know how many people died from vitamins last year? 0. You know how many people were killed by MD treatments? 788,000. You know how many people died from cancer? 550,000, which makes your MD more dangerous than cancer. Hence the name of my radio show, Fire Your MD Now. Now, it's Medical Madness Monday, followed by Testimonial Tuesday, Product Update Wednesday, Celebrity Interviews on Thursday, and Friday, Show Me the Money. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow's Testimonial Tuesday. You ever seen those, those religious programs like Benny Hill or whatever on the TV? And they've got people standing up from the wheelchairs, and you don't know whether it's fake or not, right? Because you're not there. Well, we've got the real deal here tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. This testimonial will make you cry. If it doesn't make you cry, you're not a human being. And if it doesn't then make you angry, you're not paying attention. Do not miss tomorrow's show. For that matter, don't miss any of these shows. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I am the red pill. It's the red pill, right, that wakes people up from the matrix. This show is the red pill. Tune in and snap out of it. Now, Medical Madness, I promised you last week that I was going to explain to you why there's no such thing as arthritis, there's no such thing as high blood pressure, there's no such thing as type 2 diabetes, and here we go. From the holistic perspective, holistic physicians are trained to treat people. We are also trained that illness and dis-ease is a phenomenon which affects the entire system, hence the word holistic. If you have a problem with your right elbow joint, you don't just have a bad right elbow. You have a facultative breakdown across the board in your system because everything is connected. You can make the argument that if you have a parasitic infection or a bacterial infection, for instance, in the lung or in the arm, then you only do have a problem with that part of the body. But that's a different thing. That's the exception that proves the rule. When people have arthritis or type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, and they go to an MD, which are the only people we've gone to for the last 100 years, so we've been hypnotized into thinking the way that MDs think. But MDs are trained in a type of medicine called reductionism, and reductionism has a very archaic, backwards way of looking at health. Should be outlawed, for goodness sake, from my point of view. The only thing reductionistic medicine is good for is surgery. But reductionism, reductionistic doctors and trauma. Reductionistic doctors are taught that the human body is nothing's connected inside, that you got to take the body apart and give one medicine for each piece that's broken when somebody's sick, and everything is a standalone unit. So therefore, MDs classify illnesses by their objective signs and symptoms. What the blood work looks like, what the x-ray looks like, what the inflammation looks like, what the skin looks like. They classify everything by stuff that they can measure and codify, and they are completely uninterested in the patient's own, the person's own personal experience of the illness. So when they categorize things like this, like categorizing bugs, right? All the different species of bug, right? They kind of get into that habit. Well, they do exactly the same thing with illness. And when they view illness from a reductionistic point of view, that type of approach works. But illness is not a reductionistic phenomenon. It is a holistic phenomenon. So, for instance, I could have identical triplets. They have exactly the same genes. They're identical triplets, right? Exactly the same genes. They're all in their 20s, and they all develop arthritis. So they all go to the MD. The MD does blood work. The MD does X-ray. The MD does whatever the MD does, and the MD, promotes a definitive diagnosis of osteoarthritis in all three triplets. They all have osteoarthritis. Well, that's great. So what does the MD do? Does the MD treat the person? No, the MD treats the illness. So the MD throws pain medication and anti-inflammatories into the body of the people who have this thing that the MDs are calling arthritis. It doesn't fix anything. Doesn't upset the metabolic balance that made the joints go south in the first place. Does not attend to any of the patient's subjective symptoms at all. A little bit, maybe. But really, the only thing that those treatments do is do the symptoms. It's like painting over the mold in the wall, and they're waiting until the joint becomes so decrepit that they're going to cut it out and put a titanium joint in. That's what they're waiting for. They're rubbing their hands in glee and drooling. Can't wait, because, you know, they need a new pool. They need a new Maserati. They need a summer house in the Hamptons. They need something. Got to put that joint in, because that's how they're taught. But the fact of the matter is that triplet A, his arthritis feels like little pinpricks. And it feels much better if you put a warm application and much worse if you put a cold application on it. Triplet B, his pain is a dull, throbbing ache. The only time it bothers him is when he's using that arm. And when the pain is present, it feels much better from cold applications and much worse from anything hot. Triplet C, the pain that he feels starts in the wrist and moves up to the elbow and then moves back down to the wrist. And every time his arthritis flares up, he also gets flashes of light in his eyes and ringing in his ears and diarrhea. And the only time that his arthritis acts up is right before a rainstorm. This guy is a barometer. Now, they all have completely different subjective symptoms because they're in three completely different bodies, even though they have the same gene. So when you look at these people individually from a holistic point of view, you can say not that they have arthritis, because if they had arthritis, their symptoms would all be exactly the same. But they're not. The symptoms are remarkably different. There's some commonality. You know, there's a pain in the joint. There's a problem in the joint. There's an inflammation in the joint. But when you completely leave out of your diagnostic assessment all of the details of all of the ways that that illness is making that person feel in all the different parts of the body, you're going to miss the boat. And I'll tell you what happens when you miss the boat when we come back. By the way, it was Benny Hinn, not Benny Hill. Benny Hill's the comedian, right? Yeah, it was Benny Hill, the guy that raises people from the dead on TV, right? So when holistic physicians work with people who have physical, mental, or emotional trouble, we don't treat arthritis in this case. For, to complete the metaphor, we do not treat arthritis because there's no such thing. We can say that this person, in this case, triplet A, had a type of arthritis, but we're not treating arthritis because triplet A's complete overall symptomology, which includes how they felt, what their presenting symptoms were, and what their blood work, what their x-rays were, their complete totality of symptoms was extremely different than triplet B or triplet C. They all had very unique symptoms, all of which were built upon the foundation of something wrong with their joints. But the MDs are colorblind to all of these distinctions. All that they see is, oh, there's a problem with the joint. And they're not trained to do anything holistic. They're not trained to look at the healing power of the body. They don't even think that that exists. All they're trained to do is throw medicines at the joint. That's all that they do. And the medicines that they throw at the joint are designed to suppress the symptoms. But more importantly, holistic physicians treat the person. And MDs treat the diagnosis. So everybody with the arthritis gets exactly the same thing in the MD's office unless they're allergic to it or unless the MD has access to the brand new designer drug for that particular diagnosis. I've treated thousands of people in my life, and I've never once treated arthritis. I've treated thousands of people in my life. I've never once treated any diagnosis. I can't treat a diagnosis. A diagnosis is not a real thing. It doesn't exist in the real world. You want me to prove it? All right, well, bring me a pen. Can you bring me a pen? Yeah, you can bring me a pen. Can you bring me a piece of pumpkin pie? Yeah, you can bring me a piece of pumpkin pie. Can you bring me some arthritis? I'd like some arthritis, please. Can you bring me some? I'd like some type 2 diabetes. Can you bring me some? No, you can't, because these are intangible concepts that the MD has convinced you are real things. They don't exist in real time. It is a description of a certain set of conditions that happens in the body from an objective reductionistic point of view. It's one piece of the data stream. It's one piece of the data stream only. In order to really know what's going on, you have to add that piece of the data stream to everything else that's happening in the patient. And when you add everything else that's happening in that one individual, you get a treatment for the person, not the illness. We do not treat diagnoses because they don't exist. They're intangible. That's nuts. But the MDs do it all the time. We treat people. So in this case, my clinical treatment in states where I'm licensed for triplet A would be very different than my clinical treatment for triplet B, even though from the MD's point of view, they have exactly the same symptoms. From my point of view, they do not. It's insanity. It is insanity the way that MDs are trained, number one, to look at disease, and number two, how they go about treating it. Alex Jones correctly talks about pharmaceutical profiteering and, how the pharmaceutical industry is changing the rules of medicine, and they're only allowing doctors to work in such a way, and that's correct. But even if that wasn't so, even if MDs had completely free rein to do whatever they wanted without any pharmaceutical intervention whatsoever, their therapeutics would still fail because they are reductionistic. They do not work. You cannot treat a holistic phenomenon with a reductionistic medicine. You can't. That's why they've lost the war on cancer. That's why they've lost the war on heart disease. That's why Alzheimer's and autism and obesity and arthritis and type 2 diabetes are skyrocketing, and why our life expectancies are getting shorter and shorter while the MDs are driving the bus, because their therapeutics don't work. They do not work, because when you use a reductionistic viewpoint and a reductionistic medicine on a holistic phenomenon, it must, by definition, fail. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing as arthritis. There's no such thing as type 2 diabetes. But what there are people. People who are suffering mightily. People who are suffering needlessly. Tune in. Get informed. We're talking to Linda from Baltimore about her Achilles tendons. When I put some type 2 diabetes in a box and send it to me, right? It's not a real thing. It's a descriptor. It is an intangible thing. You cannot treat something that's intangible. It's only tangible when it exists inside the human body, inside a living, breathing person. And when it is something inside a living, breathing person, it is a holistic phenomenon that has objective and subjective symptoms, and you must assay all of them to come up with the proper treatment. You cannot treat diseases because they do not exist. All right. Now, we get into the habit of talking about diseases. We get into the habit of saying, because we have to have some frame of reference. But this is why we always say, whenever we talk about this stuff in public, that, we're not treating arthritis. We're not treating type 2 diabetes. What are we doing? We're supporting and promoting the health of your immune system. We're supporting and promoting the health of your skeletal system. We're supporting and promoting the health of your circulatory system, right? It's a systems-oriented, holistic phenomenon. That's why we say it that way. That's why we couch it in those terms. Because I have to unteach you what you've been taught by the MDs, because they are killing you. But enough about me. It's all about you. Linda from Baltimore, are you still with us? Welcome aboard. You're live on Fire. You're MD now.
Yes.
So how can I help you?
I'm suffering from challenges with Achilles tendon for both feet.
Yeah.
Are
they still intact? Have they rolled up?
Have they rolled up?
Yeah, your Achilles, the tendon is still there, right? It hasn't disconnected from your heel bone, right?
Right.
Okay, good. All right, so is that it?
Yes.
Okay, how long have you had the tendonitis problem?
About a little over a month.
All right, and did it start in the right foot or the left foot?
It was both of them.
Both of them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And what does the pain feel like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sharp? Is it dull? What's it feel like?
When I put pressure on it, it's as if I've done a lot of exercise, and right in the bottom of my feet, that's where I feel this nagging discomfort.
And if you had to qualify the nagging discomfort as sharp or dull or ripping or tearing or burning or pulling or twisting, how would you describe it?
Burning.
All right, so you have a nagging, burning pain in the bottom of your foot. Is it in your heel, or is it in the middle of your foot, or is it in the ball of your foot?
Right in my heel as well, because I can't wear any shoes.
Okay, very good. So does walking around make this symptom worse, or does it make it feel better?
Worse.
What makes it feel better?
Getting off of it.
Okay, now when you get off of it, do you want to put your feet up and elevate them a little, or have them horizontal, or does it not really matter as long as you're just not standing?
I have them horizontal.
And have you ever tried, Linda, putting your feet in hot water or putting your feet in cold water?
I had gotten in some hot water at a therapy pool, but I don't know what made it worse. Maybe the drive there, but I felt very uncomfortable afterwards.
And have you ever put your feet in like ice cold water to cool them off and deal with the pain, or have you never gone that far?
I haven't done that. I tried the ice pack.
What happened with that? Did the ice pack help or not?
No, but when I've done the heating pad with the steam, that seemed to give me some relief.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, great. And how long ago did this start?
It's been about a month that I've had.
About a month. And was there anything significant that happened right before it? Like you fell off of a stool, or you joined a gym, or you changed your diet, or you got divorced, or was there anything different about your life right before this happened?
Well, I was doing extra exercise because I knew that, the convention was coming up. So I was doing extra, exercises.
So what type of exercises at the gym? Like, were you on the treadmill? Were you on the Stairmaster? Were you lifting weights, or what were you doing?
The ARC, it's an elliptical machine, the ARC trainer. Yep. And then I was on the recumbent bike.
Okay, very good. And did you start using the sauna or whirlpools or anything like that at the same time?
I was doing the not at the same time because when this happened, it was time to go to the convention.
Yeah, got it. Okay, good. All right, so I'm asking you all of these questions just to underline what I was talking about in the previous segment, and I appreciate your patience. We're almost done here. I've got a couple more questions for you. You ready? Okay, good. So since this pain in your feet has started to become a problem, has anything else come along for the ride? Like your sleep is now a problem, or your breathing's a problem, or you're colder than you used to be, or you're hotter than you used to be, or you get headaches, or is there any other symptom that's bothering you in the same time frame?
Well, I'm going through hot and cold. My feet are cold, and then I'll get, warm.
Yeah.
So I'll put something on the feet to keep them warm. But then, I might start, having episodes of being warm in the face and all. But my feet are warm.
Yeah, interesting, isn't that? Your feet are cold, though, right? Until you warm them up, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, does the actual Achilles tendon hurt? Does that part of your body hurt?
When I'm putting pressure on it.
It does. So like when you're walking around?
Walking around. Off my feet, fine.
Okay.
But when I put pressure on it, that's when the problem occurs. And I'm hopping, after I'm on it for a while.
Yeah, okay, I get it completely. All right, great. So now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do to support and promote the health of this part of your body. But first I want to outline the whole thing for the listening audience, okay? So here we go. Now, if Linda was to go to a reductionistic MD, What they would do is take an... By the way, have you been to an MD for this?
The podiatrist.
All right. Excellent. Tell us what they did. What did he do? How much time did you spend with the doctor?
I would say around 15 minutes.
15 minutes. And what did the doctor do? Specifically, what did he do or she do?
Well, he asked me whether or not he had some heel lifts, and he didn't have any in at that time, but I told him I had orthodontics, so, he told me to use that.
But how did he diagnose the tendinitis? What did he do? Did he do an x-ray, do blood work, poke around your foot? What did he do?
He just poked around my foot, and then under the bottom of my foot, he touched the spot, and ooh, wow. That was so very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so that was the basis of his diagnosis.
All right. And did he ask you any of the questions that I just asked you?
No.
Okay, good. And what did he prescribe?
Well, and he had done an insert while he made it, and I was to put that in the back of my shoe. And then he had given me, he told me to do a leave, for any discomfort and all. But the Aleve is not a good thing for me because of another medication that I'm taking.
And did he know that?
I wrote it down.
And did he then discontinue the Aleve prescription, or what happened with that?
I discontinued it, and I will see him tomorrow.
All right, good girl. Smartest girl in class, Linda from Baltimore. Smartest girl in class. All right, folks, so here's what happens. Linda from Baltimore is paying hard-earned money every month to gain access to this type of medicine in the form of insurance premiums. Is that right, Linda? You're paying insurance premiums every month?
That's correct.
Is it more than $300?
A little above that.
So it's between $300 and $400 a month. Is your employer contributing any?
No, that's all that I'm retired, so
Okay, so it's between $300 and $400 a month that you're paying to gain access to the MDs. $300 or $400 a month. That's $350. That's like $4,000 a year. Okay. Now, so she's got pain in her feet, so she goes to see the podiatrist. The podiatrist pokes around her feet for a couple of minutes, prescribes Aleve, which is an over-the-counter pain relief medicine, does nothing to get to the root cause of the illness. And, by the way, it interacts with another medicine that she's already taking, but the doctor missed that. She had to look that up on her own. And then, there's talk about some orthotic or some type of arch support to put into the shoe, and that was basically the long and the short of what he wanted to do, correct?
That is correct.
All right. That's like having mold in your basement. Asking a carpenter to come over. The carpenter opens the door, looks at the mold, and then advises you to put paint over the mold. Because in the best possible circumstance, the pain medication is not going to fix what caused the tendons to become inflamed in the first place. And, more to the point, the MD was not treating Linda from Baltimore. The MD was treating Achilles tendinitis, right? The MD was not aware that her pain... So here's what Linda really had. You can call it Achilles tendinitis if you want to, if it makes you more comfortable, but I'm going to call it the Linda from Baltimore disease, because that's really what it is. It's the Linda from Baltimore disease, and here's what the Linda from Baltimore disease looks like. It's a nagging, burning pain on the bottom of her foot that's worse when she walks and that's better when she gets off of her feet. Sometimes she also feels a painful sensation in her Achilles tendon when she's walking around. The pain gets so bad that it causes her to hop. The whole thing started when she increased her activity on an elliptical machine and a recumbent bike, and the pain feels better if she gets off of her feet. It's better from a hot application, worse from a cold application, and also her feet get icy cold and her head gets really hot at the same time. This is the Linda from Baltimore illness. This is what we're going to intervene with here. Now, does that sound like Achilles tendinitis? If 100 people like Linda went to this doctor, they'd all get the same medication. Because in the doctor's mind, there's this thing called Achilles tendonitis. It doesn't really exist. It's a description of a set of symptoms, but he's only looking at one of the symptoms. There are 99 others that he has completely missed because he's a reductionistic hack. And I'm choosing my words carefully. So what do? To support and promote the health of your tendons and your ligaments and your bones, here's what you need, Linda. Per month, 1 bottle of Ultra Body Toddy with Cell Shield per 100 pounds of body weight, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy per 100 pounds of body weight, 1 Glucogel capsule per 10 pounds of body weight per day. So if you're 150 pounds, you need 15 Glucogel a day. You need to figure out how many bottles you need to buy a month to get that number a day, okay? 1 Glucogel capsule per 10 pounds of body weight per day. I want you to take 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a day and 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals. Get those supplements, take them, and go to fireyourmdnow.com and follow the good food, bad food diet, eliminating all of the bad foods. Take those supplements, change your diet up, and you will fix the Linda from Baltimore illness. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Now, Linda from Baltimore, if you're still listening, I forgot to tell you, you need 1 bottle of Prohoba Omega also. So add 1 bottle of Prohoba Omega to that program, and it will round it out nicely, giving you all 90 essential nutrients with extra stuff to support and promote the health of your ligaments, tendons, and skeletal system. Operative word here being system. All right, Erica. Erica's next. Erica, you are live on Fire Your MD Now. Thanks for calling.
Yes, hi, and oh, what a blessing you are. I've been looking for someone like you for years. I have a 6-year-old son who is severely affected by vaccinations. Every time you get a vaccination, you got an upper respiratory infection, whether it's been bronchitis or they called bronchiolitis, all that nonsense. I presented that to, my theory was a first-time mom. I didn't know what I know now. I have a second child who is not vaccinated, thank the Lord. And so my son has been, suffering for years with this, as I've totally X'd out the doctors, which was my first awesome choice. But they wanted to label him, and I feel the same way you do, and praise the king for you, that they like to diagnose. They only mask symptoms or, suppress them, but you still got the problem. I have sent my son's urine to Paris, France to prove them wrong, and his heavy metal toxicity panel was through the roof. Mercury, lead, arsenic, aluminum, you name it. I have done some chelation. Go ahead.
Did the chelation help?
It did. He has had toxic. I'm talking, have you ever smelled like straight, pure, like cow poop, like that ammonia smell to it? That's what my son's stool smells like. It's horrendous. Okay, good. So here we go. I was one of the first naturopathic physicians in the country to practice heavy metal chelation. There's a lot to it. There's a lot about it that I believe is mythology. But nonetheless, it's an overlooked aspect of holistic medicine. But have no fear, the naturopaths are here, because even if the body is polluted by things like, too much mercury, too much lead, too much of arsenic, or whatever it is, what we do is we provide the body with the raw materials that it needs to eliminate that stuff. And selenium is the operative thing to think about here. But because we're holistic, we're not just going to do fractionated nutrition with, a ton of intravenous vitamin C or a ton of selenium or anything. We're going to give a comprehensive, holistic support, nutritional support to his system. Step back and let God and his body and nature fix itself, because his body wants to fix itself. So, you still with me, Erica? How much does your son weigh? I am here. He is 25 pounds at 6 years old. He's got low muscle tone. I just want to give you a few more things. Aside from the stool and stuff like that, he has low muscle tone. Only his right side, his left side of his body has like contractures in the left leg, arm, and fingers, more so than the right side. He has like
background slowing that he had on his EEG, also his EMG with misfiring of the nerves. He has a tracheotomy due to a hospital stay, and I'm pretty positive it was a mold fungus that he actually had. They didn't want to listen to me on that either.
All right, so look,
I'm
running up.
Severe scoliosis.
Okay, good. I'm right up against the clock here. So here's what I'm going to recommend you do for 25-pound boy for 30 days, and then I want you to call me back, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. So for every day, I want him to get a half an ounce of the Cal Toddy, C-A-L-T-O-D-D-Y, a half an ounce of the Cal Toddy in a little bit of orange juice 3 times a day. A half an ounce of the Cal Toddy in a little bit of orange juice 3 times a day. A half an ounce of Ultra Body Toddy with Cell Shield in a little bit of juice or anything else you want to put it in to make it taste good 3 times a day. A half an ounce of plant-derived minerals. Actually, give him the Cherry Mints. A half an ounce of Cherry Mints 3 times a day. And lastly, well, 2 more things. A half an ounce of Glucogel liquid 3 times a day. I want him to take 1 selenium capsule 3 times a day. And I want him to take 1 essential fatty acid capsule 3 times a day. All right? 1 EFA 3 times a day, 1 selenium 3 times a day, the Cherry Mints, the Cal Toddy, and the Ultra Body Toddy, just like that. And please go to fireyourmdnow.com. Put him on the good food, bad food diet, eliminating 100% of the bad foods. Call me in 30 days with a report. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Testimonial Tuesday tomorrow, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you then.